Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Harrison Talks Pod. Today, I'm breaking down four players in the NBA that have been a big surprise this season, a good surprise this season. And then later, I'm joined by my friend Momo from Australia, who I have not talked to in so long, and we have a great conversation about gaming in 2025. So, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into these breakdowns. The first player that I want to talk about today, and I'm recording this on a Monday evening in America or a Tuesday morning in sunny Thailand, where I live now. And I'm so excited that my first player that I decided to talk about is Dyson Daniels because the Atlanta Hawks just had an exciting win against the Grizzlies tonight. I didn't check. And he's leading also in deflection. So just trying to keep the ball away from him if you're the opposing team. Also, 1.8 blocks per game is very elite for a guard. 6'7", 6'8" guard, 1.8 blocks, 3 steals per game. That is elite defense. That is DPOY defense on paper, but we'll get into some other challenges. He's had some big performances also against top offensive players that will stand out to voters when they're making this decision. For example, and looking at players that he's matched up against for 5 minutes or more. Against Jason Tatum, matching up against him, 37% shooting, 21% from three. Matching up against Donovan Mitchell, 29% field goal, 22% from three. Darius Garland, about 5 minutes, matching up against him, 22% from the field. And Austin Reeves, matching up for over 5 minutes, 0 points on three shot attempts. He's had defensive nights where other big offensive players have caused lots of turnovers against meeting in Detroit against Cade Cunningham, 9 turnovers. Against Zach Levine, 10 turnovers. Jalen Brunson against the New York Knicks, 5 turnovers. So there's lots of performances as well as the stat sheet that you can look at to say why he might be a DPOY candidate. He will be. But should you win, it might be tough. And here's why. Atlanta ranks 18th in defense at 114. For example, other candidates top of the leaderboard, Evan Mobley of the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers defense is 109.5, which is sixth in the NBA, and Jaren Jackson Jr. for the Grizzlies is 111, which is ninth. Not so good either, but it's still in that top 10. I think you have to be on a top 10 defensive team to be considered for this award. But do voters feel the same way? Evan Mobley's a favorite. Dyson Daniels is third at plus 650. If you're a betting person, I am not. Do with that what you will. And on the offensive end, there's some notable things as well. He's shot 50% for multiple games. He's shot 4 or 5 from deep, on April 3rd. Okay, we'll take that part out. Multiple double-digit games. He's had multiple 5 assist games, and his assist numbers are up from the previous season. Has had multiple 8+ rebound games, performing in some high-stakes matchups, including performing very well this evening in a huge win against the Memphis Grizzlies on their home floor. So, if he wants to seriously be considered for DPOY, I think Atlanta needs to up their defense. Can they be a top 10 defense before the season ends in the last 22 games or so? I'm not so sure. Keep dominating on the defensive end. You're leading in steals by a lot. You're having lots of great matchups. All of those things are important. And we'll see how Evan Mobley and Jaren Jackson Jr. do towards the end of the season. Do they rest at all? Do they miss any time? Any of that. But Evan Mobley, who we'll talk about in just a bit, their team is 50-10 with a top 10 it might be a top 5 defense by the time the season is over. It's going to be very, very difficult. Elite defense, history favors big men when it comes to that award. There have only been 2 players, right? 2 players, Marcus Smart and Gary Payton, who have won this award that are not big men in the last 30 years. So, what do you think? Does he have a chance to win DPOY? But no matter what, it fits in with my segment of saying that he is one of the biggest surprises for me this NBA season. Next up is Malik Beasley, and I should have just called this segment an excuse to talk about Malik Beasley again because what a memorable season he's had. And let's talk about it. For one, a 1 year, $6 million deal from the Detroit Pistons, and he sure looks like he fits in as their sixth man. So, what I'm trying to say is that July 1st, I want a notification saying that there's been a multi year deal with Malik Beasley and the Detroit Pistons that has been reached. Seems like a good relationship. Seems like you like each other. Keep it going. 1 year, 6 million has to be one of the best, if not the best valued contract of the season. Let's get right into it. As a six man, leading the league in made three pointers at 244, shooting 43% from deep on 9.4 attempts per game. And he also leads in percentage of shots being three pointers. No surprise there at about 72%. He's on pace for over 300 threes this season. And the players that have done that, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, James Harden, is a bench player. So do that as you will. If his efficiency was different, he'd be shooting a lot more threes to get to 244. But the efficiency shows this is the right game plan. And Detroit's record, frankly, shows that as well. In bench scoring, because we'll talk also why he is a six man of the year candidate, leading all bench scorers at 15.7 points per game, playing just 27 minutes per game. Higher efficiency, certainly from previous seasons. I think this is his career high in efficiency. Has been a key turnaround, a key player for the Pistons turnaround, and the Pistons helped get a 8-game win streak. So there's that. This seems like a popular player in Detroit right now. I don't know if everyone in the Pistons fan base is doing the shimmy, but I heard people are doing the shimmy. I'm not gonna do it on camera right now because I can't. I'm sitting down. I won't be able to do it correctly. So we'll leave it at that. Improved defensive effort, improved playmaking, all very good. His odds are, I believe, plus 300 at this point. They've shot up a lot. Plus 300 for six man of the year. Not leading, I believe that is still Peyton Pritchard. And speaking of which, against Boston, he had a great game. 26 points, 10 of 15 shooting on six threes. Had six threes with that as well. So in free agency, will Detroit be able to keep him? They certainly have the money to do that, and we'll see. Yeah, they're not going to be in the lottery this year. Luckily, they're not going to try and shoot for the lottery, knowing the history of the Pistons and the NBA draft. And we'll see if they can attract any other big players because I believe they are around $125 million currently with a few player options. So I want to see it. As a fan, I've talked on here. I don't have a hometown team, but I love supporting my Midwest teams. I love supporting small market teams. And Detroit has been overall just the nicest surprise of this season. Mostly last season, I was turning into the Detroit Pistons to see the dumpster fire, to see the all-time losses in a row record get shattered. So this season has been quite the opposite. Elite shooter, has made a real impact. Definitely in line for sixth man of the year, especially with how well the Detroit Pistons have played, and Detroit might be out of the play-in, which is incredible. Next up, I have Christian Braun and the Denver Nuggets. And my original segment for today was talking about the Denver Nuggets because they've had a very interesting season, especially second half of the season, have been winning lots of games and losing games to very good teams, including a blowout loss to the Boston Celtics most recently. So let's shift back over though and talk about how well Christian Braun has played this season and how he's pretty much taken that Contavious Caldwell Pope role in Denver and ran with it. He's averaging 14.9 points per game, which is nearly doubling his point total last season and almost 10 points more than what he was averaging 2 seasons ago. He's showing elite efficiency, taking on a bigger role for the Nuggets, who are going to be a playoff team, no doubt. 19 straight games that he scored in double figures. He's had 9 performances where he scored 20 or more points, including 28 against the Bulls, 26 against the Trailblazers. He is shooting a career best 57.8% from the field and a 66 true shooting percentage. His 5.3 fast break points per game leads the entire league. Two-way 5.1 rebounds per game, which is an improvement from 3.7 last season. 1.1 steals per game, which is a slight improvement, but shows that he's making an effort on the perimeter defense. For assists, 2.2 assists per game, which is a slight improvement. So, slight decision making, better decision making, playing more in the Jokic rotations, perhaps. Benefiting more than just Jokic's playmaking, though, playing more off ball, excelling at cutting, finishing, making quick decisions more, actively finding his spots on the floor to score. At 23 years old, still improving, still developing, but could be a very important player for the Nuggets in the playoffs. If he continues to grow, he might be a big part of the Nuggets' future. So, my final thoughts here has come off the bench to be a contributing factor for the Nuggets, has doubled his scoring nearly since last season, and he should very much be in the most improved player conversation when we factor all of that in on a team that is going to be competing for a championship. And I talked about him briefly when we talk about Dyson Daniels. Let's talk about the top defensive player this season, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley has had a very interesting 4 seasons for the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of the top rookies had maybe more of a sophomore slump, which is normal, which we see, and has been developing into this fourth year, which has been his best offensive year so far. Let's talk about defense first. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 50-10, best record in the whole league. Pretty sure they're going to finish with the top seed in the East. Let's talk about defense a little bit and let's compare it to the second player in Defensive Player of the Year odds, Jaren Jackson Jr. For example, Mobley this season has 84 blocks on 107 fouls. Compare it to Jaren Jackson Jr., 97 blocks, which is more, but has 198 fouls, almost twice the amount as Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley has the ability to be efficient defensively and stay on the floor, not getting into foul trouble. That is huge. His block percentage in the 77th percentile now edges out Jaren Jackson Jr. And in their head to head matchup, Mobley grabbed 13 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds, while Jaren Jackson just had 3 total rebounds. So, again, when we're looking at When voters are looking at who to vote for, they're going to think about performances like this as well as look at what is on the stat sheet. Impressive offensively as well, which, if you are watching the Cavaliers, if you're an Evan Mobley fan, this is what you've been waiting for because the defense has always been there. It's improving, but it's always been there. Career high 18.6 points per game and is maintaining elite efficiency, 57% from the field, 37% from three, 75% free throw. Expanded three-point percentage efficiency slightly. He's making 1.1 threes per game, but as I mentioned, 37% from the three means that he's a threat. Means that you have to guard him at the three-point line because he can shoot it. He can shoot it efficiently. More offensive responsibility. He's at 12.6 field goal attempts per game, which is a career high, up from 11 last season, without sacrificing efficiency. So that's great. Two turnovers per game remains steady despite maintaining a larger role this season. For rebounding, he's at 9.3 rebounds per game, slightly stronger off on the glass than Jaren Jackson Jr. His assists are at 3.1 per game. Improved playmaking, improving on that end, and leads the Cavaliers in double doubles. He has 27 on the year and is leading the Cavaliers at a plus 9.3 plus minus. At All Star Weekend, there was a poll given out to players asking who will be the best player in 5 years. There were two players that received multiple votes. Victor Wembanyama received six, and Evan Mobley received two. Yes, we have not talked about Victor Wembanyama too much. He's out for the season. Very worried about him. We'll talk about him more maybe next episode. Of course, he would be front runner. He would be the defensive player of the year for sure if he was still in it. So that's unfortunate. Mobley's confidence has grown. Recently, he said, if you don't believe in yourself, then how are you going to get there? And has shown that he's just ready to take on that superstar role. Can he be the best player on the Cavaliers in 5 years? Yeah, let's go with the same time span as the All Star poll. Cleveland, best record, 50 and 10, 10-game winning streak. Mobley's dominance on an elite team matters when thinking about defensive player of the year. And going just back to my main point, he's been a big surprise this season. He might be my most favorite surprise, and next to Malik Beasley. Well, we'll put Malik Beasley first. And on track to become a superstar. I think defensively, it's there. I could see him being a multiple defensive player of the year winner. And for offense, I'm seeing exactly what I want to see from him. We see a couple more free throws per game. We see a couple more three-point attempts per game, and he is a 20-point averaging scorer easily. All right, let's leave it there. When I come back, I'll be joined by my friend Momo to talk about some gaming. So if you like the basketball talk, thanks for joining me. If you like the gaming, stick around. All right, and we're back. And we're back with my friend Momo from Australia, not our first Australian guest of the show, but this has been a long time coming. He's also one of the guests of Nintendo Therapy. I usually take Nintendo Therapy guests and pull them on over to this podcast because I just need more friends to talk about gaming or whatever it is we're talking about. But today, we're talking about gaming. Momo, how are you doing today?
Well, g'day. Thank you for the intro. And it's been a while since we've talked on a podcast or anything like that. I've been very well, obviously very busy with work and life and you know how it is. Um, still playing games, still doing what I can with with my spare time that I have limited, but it's been going well. Health wise, I'm doing really well. I went to Europe for the first time last year at the end of the year, November, December. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to go back and yeah, just working that, and that's about it. How about you, big fella?
A lot of projects to begin 2025. We're trying to push the content, push the podcast, and just doing a lot of projects this year. Taking a little bit of a step back with the teaching and like the teaching 40, 50, 60 hours a week and just trying to make do. It's not easy sometimes. It's really not easy. You're always it's like that bus meme where, like, they're looking at both sides and, like, one side you're not working, but you don't have money, and one side you are working, but you have no time, and you're
Yeah.
miserable. So, it's kinda like that, um, uh, a little bit, but, we're happy, we're trying to do a lot of things this year. We need to talk about gaming, but what was the best place you visited in Europe?
Oh, I went to a lot of places. I was there for a month. I went to, let's see, I went to London. I went to, well, my God, I'm just looking at London. I went to Rome. I went to Munich. I went to uh, Switzerland. I went to Paris. You know what? I can't. Everyone asks me this question since it was my first time, and I can't give them an answer. I liked them all. Everything was individually different. Everything was culturally wise was so different from Australia and even from their own individual countries as well. It was such a difference. And and one thing going there, I never thought I'll come back enjoying. It was all the architecture, all the old buildings, all the you know like Amsterdam or the canals, Rome. Rome, there's like things that 2,000 years old. Like I went to the Colosseum and just appreciate all that culture. Because obviously Australia is only like 200 years, our culture is only 200 plus years old. And, compared to like Rome, that's more than 2,000 years old. And yeah, it's just a massive takeaway. The food was brilliant. The people were really good. Yeah, I can't pinpoint a favorite place. I'm gonna go with a safe answer and say everything. But yeah, it was really good. It was a really good experience.
Well, I went once. I went to 7 cities, and I can say that they were all great, but I could say I had a favorite city when I went, and that was Prague. Prague
Oh, Prague.
Prague is absolutely incredible. Prague is so incredible, it was the 2nd city I went to, and I thought, Maybe I just I don't may I just this is it?" I had a month. I had a month to travel around. I had other itinerary, but when I got there, I thought, "Do I just stay? Like, do I just stay for 3 weeks and just enjoy it?" So, that would be it, and Europe is so massive, like, I think I could go, I don't know, at least 5 times and just have s but then I would just have more and more places that I would discover along the way.
Yeah.
It's the same way, like, I've been to, Vietnam 5 times, and
Mm.
I'm still not done.
Oh,
I'm not I've spent over 2 months there, I'm still not done with the place.
it's hard, like, obviously, you're in Thailand now. My partner, my wife, she's from Indonesia, and I've been Indonesia lots. I've been to Singapore, I've been along that region. I've been to Japan, love Japan, I wanna go back to Japan. I predominantly before Europe, I've only been to Southeast Asian or Asian countries, and, that's obviously, thank my wife and her background and, all that culture and stuff like that. But it's, um, such a exciting feeling going to a place like a European place, I'm backgrounds in is Irish. We didn't get a chance to go to Ireland, and Prague was one of them. My wife, we looked at, but this first time around, our very first time for a month, we did a lot of tours. We did all the touristy things, so that way next time when we go, we can spread out and do a little bit more because we did all the popular things first, and then now if we go back or when we go back, we can really pick and choose and try different things, which is really good.
It's gonna start that way, and it's all good to me. I mean, it's good to know when you're spending too much money in a tourist trap, but hey, go to those big cities, go to those small cities. I don't whatever, just as long as you're enjoying it, that's really it. So that's
Yeah,
really cool.
100%,
That's very cool.
100%, 100%.
Let's talk about Monster Hunter. So, the main thing I've seen, you've played it. I have not played it. I've never played a Monster Hunter game. We'll talk about that a little bit. It is discrepancy. It is a Metacritic must play. It's sitting at a 90 on critic reviews, already a must play, and it's sitting at a 53 on Steam. And I just checked before we got on, and we're recording this in the evening in Australia, very early in the morning in America. You want to guess how many concurrent players there were before we started?
Oh, I'd say maybe easy above 40,000 has to be.
530,000.
That's a lot higher. I went with the safe option just then.
Yeah, it is the early morning, it's like 2 a.m. on the West Coast back home,
Yeah.
so you would think a lot of people aren't playing, but it's, Japan, I guess. It is down from over 1,000,000 when it launched, so yes, it hasn't it's not the launch numbers, but 500,000 concurrent on this game, and a lot of people are saying a lot of um, criticisms I'm seeing are performance. What are you playing it on, and what are your initial reactions to it?
Yeah, so I'm playing it on PC. I have my PC build is my graphics card's like a 3070 Ti, I think it is. I did a few so before the game came out, I never played the beta or anything like that. I Probably a couple of days before the game came out, we were able to download benchmark to get like a rough idea settings wise. So I downloaded that and I actually got really good frame rate, really good for my settings and stuff like that. But there was a patch on the day there was like a little patch that was done, which supposedly helped a little bit for PC. And then obviously before I started the game, I did a few settings and stuff like just change a few things just to give me maximize my performance. And so far I haven't really had any issues playing, stuttering or um any like a lot of frame
Keep
drops
going.
to the point where it's really stuttery and jittery and stuff like that. I've probably put in 7.5, almost 8 hours now of the game. I'm still really early on, especially literally I just before we started, probably about a couple of hours ago, I literally just defeated like the third main monster in the campaign so far. So I've been doing a lot of just running around and just getting up to trouble and trying to, get my armor up or just get things and just, get a look at the world and stuff like that. So I haven't really powered through the campaign. I've just been just doing it at my own pace and just, getting around, getting used to it. Because I haven't played this game, a Monster Hunter, in probably 10 years, easy. And even then, I never really, when I played it 10 years ago, it didn't really stick with me. I didn't finish it. I probably put in like maybe 10, 15 hours and I gave up. So I'm trying my best to stay with it. I haven't played with friends yet. I'm looking forward to playing with mates and hopefully that can for me to continue to play and like not only finish the campaign, but supposedly there's a lot of content after you finish the campaign, and then obviously with the DLC coming and stuff like that. So for me, so far, I have no issues. I'm one of the lucky ones, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm maining as a heavy bow gunner. It's a very slow, more like a tank, bit of range and stuff like that. A lot of people are playing with the swords and or the bow, which is a
Mm.
new weapon and stuff. I've seen a lot online, but I don't know. I just like shooting, so I went with the projectile gun and yeah, it's hard. It's like I mean, using the gun is easy, but like there's a lot of changes with ammo and depending on the monster, and yeah, there's a lot to it.
Monster Hunter, a good multiplayer makes it a good Monster Hunter game. Would you agree?
Well, as someone who hasn't played with anyone yet in multiplayer, when I'm in the game on the online aspect of it, still playing solo, I can see a lot of other players in the lobby with like all their cool armor and stuff like that, doing their own thing. And then when you're out and about, which is really cool. I've seen a lot of videos people playing together and stuff like that. So it looks really fun watching people like coordinate with all their different weapons and stuff like that. And it looks really cool. And I really want to do that. But I can't give my own 2 cents because I haven't done it yet. But I think this game, single player wise, is still you can if you want to play it single player. I still think it's going to be a top notch game single player. But I think multiplayer, that coordination and that feeling of everyone together and everyone's chatting, everyone's like really really going at it and stuff like that. And then when you take down something like a really tough monster, and everyone's like that ecstasy, I guess, of that kill and stuff like that with everyone there will be amazing when I get to experience it for myself.
It seems like, uh, yeah, a good Monster Hunter game has to have a solid campaign, and it has to be a franchise where on Nintendo Therapy we did a best bang for your buck segment, and Monster Hunter has to be up there because even if you buy a Monster Hunter game full price, and then even if you buy the DLC afterwards, if you really get into it, I imagine that's hundreds of hours of gaming that you could invest into it.
100%. Like I said before, I've only done roughly almost 8 hours now, and I've only in the campaign, I've pretty much like killed maybe the third main monster. That's it, and so that's only 8 hours, and I'm just taking my time doing it, little bits, pieces here and there. So just imagine if I complete the game plus the post game and like end game stuff and DLC moving forward, I potentially can put a lot of hours into this game without even realizing it. And the one thing I find about this game, my son's playing it as well. He said the same thing to me the other day. It's just one of those games where when you start it, you lose track of time, and before you know it, it's a couple of 3 hours have been gone, and you've barely done anything, but you still feel like you've accomplished something. So that's the type of game. It almost feels like Breath of the Wild. When I first played Breath of the Wild, you 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 don't realize how many hours you played, and then you've done not a lot. You've been sidetracked by so much. And also side quests in this game are a big thing, which adds a lot of value and for the game as well, besides the campaign, which is really good. So they've really done really well thinking through giving as much content and also like the bigger picture down the track when DLC and other things start coming.
Very cool. And we've been talking about a lot of speculations on the other Nintendo podcast, and I wonder if Monster Hunter Wilds is one of those Switch 2 games because that opens
I
up a big player base if it does.
I think it'll be on Switch 2. I honestly think Switch 2, I know obviously we're going to talk about other things later, but I'm saying our Switch 2 this year when it's going to come with like a reckoning. It's going to come in and it's going to hit hard, and I think a lot of people are going to eat it up.
I think so too. And the current install base. But let's move on. I gave us a couple of jumping off points. A gaming prediction. We already jumped into predictions. No, actually, let's do yes, a game that we're looking forward to. Let's go in order. What is a game besides Monster Hunter that you're looking forward to in 2025?
For me, because as a first person shooter and obviously nostalgia, I'm looking for the new next Doom game, the Doom Dark Ages, like Doom plus medieval time put together with seriously hardcore banger music. You can't go wrong with that. So I'm looking really forward to that.
Is that multi-platform?
Well, it is Xbox, but it will be. I'm pretty sure it should be multi-platform. It will be obviously PC. But I'm pretty confident it will go to PS5 because it was a third-party game originally before Xbox brought it. So who knows? I'm pretty sure it's been announced. I'm not too sure, but I assume so. It'll go to PS5, and you never know. It might go to Switch too. We don't know
If
because
if
the
it,
Nintendo and Xbox are good friends these days.
if it's Xbox exclusive and it's a Doom game, that's going to a Nintendo system eventually. Maybe not initially, but if it's Game Pass, it might be like an initial we might see it in 2025 on multi-platform systems, who knows?
I'm I'm pretty sure it's going to be Game Pass. Most Xbox Studios games are straight into Game Pass, so I'm confident it will be Game Pass.
Then I think so, and we already have, like, a whole bunch of other Doom games. Again, I can't play Doom games because, like, I it's like vertigo and stuff. It's weird. It's the lateral movements, which makes me like it's very that and Quake and things like that. I wish I
Yeah.
could play it. I could play it like a little
Yeah.
bit. So that's really cool. Um, we talked last week on the Nintendo podcast about Legends ZA, and that's in 2025. And
Yep.
that's a game I'm looking forward to because I think it will be at least a slight improvement of Legends Arceus, which is the best modern Pokemon game. But even that being said, like the best modern Pokemon game is still kind of mediocre. It's not great. This is actually jumping ahead to some other things I'll talk about later. And another one I'll mention is Navalis over on my Let's Play channel. I finished the Let's Play of Cloudpunk, where I'm actually finishing it up this week and then doing the DLC. And that's a life sim in Cloudpunk. The city is Navalis, and they're making a new game where you run a cafe. But I think it's gonna be um, I think it's gonna be very immersive, and I'm a life sim guy. Yeah, I'm a
Yep.
simulation game kind of guy, and
Yep.
Cloudpunk is like it's a driving sim, I would call it. It's basically a walking sim, but you drive a flying car, which I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to do that? That's easy, to do.
Did
Lot.
you
Mhm.
what so before you jump before did you see was it a couple of days ago? Was it the Pokemon they showed off the new game and stuff like that and all like mechanics and a bit more about the new Pokemon game? Did you watch that?
Right, we did our podcast right after or, like, the evening after the presents. It was on Pokemon Day, so it was on
Yes.
February 27th, and we talked about that because that was unsurprisingly, the main part of the whole presentation. I had predicted that they would only focus on current generation, on Switch 1, not even talk about Switch 2. It's like, "Hey, let's buy this game now. You want this console game." We'll talk about
Yep.
Gen 10 later. Uh, I think it's gonna be a slight upgrade. We talked about how a lot of things look bare still, like, they didn't show the interior of any shop, so that's probably not gonna be in there, and the city is not that lively, it kind of looks like an N64 game, uh, but I think the battle mechanics do have a slight upgrade,
Yep.
and, okay, I'm gonna play it, and it might be the most anticipated game of 2025, but there's gonna be a lot of surprises this year. There's gonna be tons of
Yep.
surprises this year, whether it's new IPs, new games, new ports, new remakes. I mean, did you play Echoes of Wisdom last year?
I I have I have it. I started it, but I haven't had a chance to like fully get into it and finish it. But I've watched like dad, who's a gamer still in his 60s, go dad. He played it, finished it, and stuff like that. So I have seen him play it and watched him play and stuff like that. So, I got to. I've already been spoiled, and I've seen it how pretty much all, start to finish. But yeah, I've played it. I just haven't like finished it yet. There's always a backlog.
Well, I'll digress too much from a big review, but I'll just say that was an announcement last year that made me feel like I don't really know what's going on, which is a common theme. Just when we go on podcasts, we speculate, we have fun with it. We make tier lists, and it's fun to speculate things that aren't consequential in your everyday life. But that
Yep.
announcement was like there was a Zelda game in development while Tears of the Kingdom was also in development at the same time, and we had no even inkling of it at all. So
Yep.
that tells me like we could see a 3D Zelda in 2025, and I'd be like, okay, like sure. It's not the most surprising to me. They traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers, so anything can happen. I think there's going to be a
I
lot of
think
announcements. Yeah.
I think if the Switch 2 next month actually, so we're a month away from being revealed, I honestly think like the opening year of the first Switch with Zelda at the start, Mario at the back, you had obviously things through the middle like Splatoon and stuff like that. I honestly think this year they'll history might repeat itself, but I think we'll have Mario might be first, and I think it as either a Zelda remake or like a HD. Like your everyone's been wanting Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess to come across to Switch. I think yeah,
Wind
be
Waker.
not Wind Waker. Sorry, Wind Waker. Thank you. Wind Waker's Skyward Sword already came. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I'm really want that remake of Ocarina of Time that supposedly rumors and that people have been saying is coming from the ground, like a proper ground up of Ocarina of Time, which I hope it just keeps the same essence of the game. You know, they can update the visuals, they can, you know, do all that stuff, but as long as the spirit or the essence of the game remains the same that when I played it as a kid, that I remember that how it should feel, you know? So yeah, I honestly think, and I think we'll get another Splatoon announcement this year, 100%. Might not be for this year, but we'll probably get a new Splatoon game coming because the new hardware means they can push it. That's why I think the next Pokemon game will be a lot better with the Switch 2 hardware. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I hope so. But and I don't really have confidence in Pokemon Company. I could
Yeah.
do a whole series on the negativity and the criticisms. And I did see in Pokemon Presents Pokemon Champions, which is going to be like the new multi cross platform Pokemon Stadium game, that is being developed by a new subsidiary that they launched last year. I'll say
Yep.
launched. They made last year. So
Yep.
any kind of delegation is a good sign because I think Game Freak has always had the vision, but the execution when transferring over to 3D has just not been there. And the answer is to not go backwards. The answer is to figure it out, spend your billions of dollars, spend all that money you got.
I think, but have you ever thought about with Pokemon, maybe they can meet in the middle, like how Echoes of Wisdom and stuff like that is like a 2.5D. You know what I mean? Not fully 3D, not 2D, but like a 2 point diorama type S thing. Do you honestly think Pokemon can get that sort of treatment and be able to really stylize and, um, add the problem with Pokemon that I've always found, especially the modern ones, is that the games look so empty. Like the last one, they tried to make it its open world or something like that, but it just looks so empty. It looked like I, I didn't play it. My wife loves Pokemon. She plays all Pokemon, so I watched her play it. And just when I see her play it, it just looks like really empty. I know they're trying to push the hardware or whatever, but like if they decide to go, like I said, like a diorama or similar to Echoes of Wisdom, the 2.5 or whatever style, maybe they can fit more in there. Your battle system is straightforward. The battle system is straightforward. It's turn based or whatnot, battle system. And then you can really, really bolster the graphical fidelity of it if it's like I said, like that diorama or 2.5D, whatever with pixels or 3D, whatever you want to do with it. I honestly think, yeah, Pokemon, when I see Pokemon these days, it just feels like it's just empty. And besides the battling, there's what else do you do? You know?
They have all the money and resources they would need to be able to do both. They attempted both doing the Diamond and Pearl remake, and I thought that was a step backwards doing
Mm.
that. So I think the vision has to be there of like there's a huge audience for 2D games. Just if you just take the Pokemon ROM hacking community alone and you don't take in all those other games like Nexamon or Cassette Beast or all those other Pokemon-like games, we have subreddits of ROM hacks that have like 80,000 members in them. The audience is there. Pokemon just has to do it a different way and give us a quality of life features. And hey, why not make it an open world?
Yep.
Because I've played plenty of open world 2D games which have what do you call it? Like level gauges. So basically
Yep.
every Pokemon in the wild area is just the average of whatever level you have in your party. So you can go anywhere. And You don't have to do that. For example, when you're playing Breath of the Wild, if you venture into an area that has all these baddies in them in the beginning, your reaction is gonna be, "Oh, perhaps I shouldn't be in this area. So
Yeah.
maybe I should try something else." So
Oh,
you could do it
yeah.
both ways.
And then, like you said, like, but even then, like Breath of the Wild, even if you go into the area and you know you should not be in here, but you can still go there and try. You know what I
To
mean? Like,
try.
I think with Pokemon, what I want to see from them visually is that at least an open world will be great, but I want to see biomes. You know, like really, really a lot of biomes. Like you think of it like Minecraft. When you go to Minecraft, you travel around the map, the different biomes and stuff like, and you can distinctly be in different areas. You're in snow, desert, jungle, beach. You really can do that. That's what they need to do. They need to concentrate on like really put the right biomes in, put the Pokemon in there. Like you said, have a leveling system which is straightforward. Whatever your the general Pokemon around you, um, whatever your current level of your party is, it'll scale to that. But then at the same time, you have your key areas. If you go there, they're going to be a lot harder, and then eventually they'll be easier. But at the moment they'll be harder. And then when you get past that bit, then you see other harder areas. Like they need to really just fix that stuff. Like I said, their battling system is their bread and butter. It's straightforward. It's been like that for forever. They've done, the mega evolve evolutions, and it looks like this new game there's a slight changes to the battling system. But pretty much the battling system is straightforward, and you know what you're gonna get with it. So they just really need to think about uh just fixing breathe some life into the open world. Give something to do, make it feel like it's populated with things to do and people and villages and stuff like that. Things like that.
E Yeah, exactly. And, Minecraft has multiple Pokemon mods, and
Yes.
I've played Cobblemon, and it's honestly one of the most fun Pokemon experiences I've had, just having those creatures in a world that's already Minecraft. Minecraft has had years to figure out the ultimate sandbox experience, and making it non-linear, because clearly that's something that most people are over with, or new gamers might not have an interest in. Scarlet and Violet, it was just like, here's an open world, but you have to do this, and you gotta go to this gym, and after 8 gyms, you know what happens. Then you go to the
Yeah.
championship. So um, yeah, turn-based, or in Legends, what they're doing, which is a hybrid of turn-based, that will never go away. JRPGs are more popular now than they ever have been before, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger as it goes along. I'm amazed that people have time for so many JRPGs, because so many of them are popular and take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did some predictions. I'll give you a prediction, and then you can give me one, or you can riff off mine, because you might have some things to say. We kind of said it already. 2025 Xbox Game Pass is coming to the Switch 2. That's my prediction. Now, it might not be
Yeah.
called Game Pass. They might mask it as Mike. I didn't make a name before this. Microsoft Nintendo Plus. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it'll be Game Pass, and I don't know if they'll have all the games. For example, I can play Flight Simulator on a Series S. It's not great, but I can do it. Uh, I wonder if they would, because I think most exclusive Xbox games are going to end up on Switch. And there's so many Xbox games, whether it's like Psychonauts, or there's so many ones that feel like a Nintendo game. It was inspired by
You mean your
Nintendo.
your platformers, but also they hold
Yeah,
the rights to Banjo. They hold the rights still to Banjo Kazooie still,
right.
which they've done nothing with. Which a lot of people, especially in the Smash community, have said, "Why don't just sell it back to Nintendo and let them do it?" So like because obviously Rare's part of Xbox now. So yeah, I see what you mean. I'm sure they will probably, if your prediction is right, they'll come up with a concept to make it like Nintendo friendly at the same time, but it'll still have the Xbox branding there to let you know that this is Xbox on a Nintendo type of mentality.
I think majority of exclusives are going to end up on Switch 2, and there's not that many, but yeah, like Valheim, there's already been a Forza 5 speculation, which surprised me. I thought Forza 4? Why not that one first? Okay, Forza 5. And another speculation, which would be crazy, to like see it an announcement, is the Halo Master Chief Collection, which would be very much like the first time you saw Sonic on a Nintendo system. I think it's gonna be like that.
I think the Master Chief Collection will definitely come to, well, it looks like it's coming to PlayStation, so I wouldn't be surprised with Nintendo. Like I said, any Nintendo this year, when that hardware drops, depending, look what they did with their first hardware. They've had 8 years to, now. Nintendo's not really about pushing the power, but you can tell they've definitely put a lot more under the hood to give them a bit more leeway to get their games, but also attract third parties as well, which is like Xbox and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this year, yeah, I think I still stand by Nintendo is going to clean up this year. When they drop that Switch 2, they're going to clean up, and all the other Microsoft and all the other third party people who've been keeping their mouths shut for now will start. The floodgates will open, and then watch everything be like Switch 2, Switch 2, Switch 2, Switch 2. Like, everything will be updated to go to Switch 2 as well. So it's going to be a big year for Nintendo, I think.
One more, then I go to you. If Call of Duty comes to Switch 2, are you playing it?
I'm so used to playing mouse and keyboard these days
Mm.
than the controller. That said, uh, I can always give it a crack and see what happens. But obviously PC. But the form factor with the Switch, that's the point of it. It's on the go. So remember, like all these other um, what do you call it? The was it ROG Ally and the
Mhm.
Steam Deck? They all wanted a piece of that Nintendo pie, the Switch pie, yeah. And they obviously put a lot more power under the hood, so they can obviously play like games, modern games on their units. So I'm pretty confident that um, no matter COD or whatever, should play relatively good on the Switch too. Fingers crossed, but I might give it a whack, give it a crack, but we'll see how it goes.
That's such an interesting point, because there was a patent filed that pretty much confirms that the Joy-Cons for Switch 2 will have mouse control. And I've been going through which franchises would take advantage of it, and I wonder if first person shooters would give you that option of. I know it's kind of weird. I know, like, a lot of people, like, you're not playing your Switch at a PC like I do. You're playing it, like, on your couch, so you're not really using a
Yep.
mouse. But I wonder if they would have that option.
Well, to be honest, the one game that I can think that will most likely, if the mouse, because you saw from the reveal trailer, they did the mouse thing, so obviously it must be coming. So, but the one game I think that will benefit, that will definitely see this mouse kind of integration, will be Splatoon, the new Splatoon, 100%. Because all the Splatoons use gyro control, which I love. I
Yep.
love gyro control in Splatoon. Um, but I got a funny feeling there's going to be some sort of mouse control in the new Splatoon
I
as
think you're
a way to play. 100%.
I think you're
It's gonna
right.
be your flagship. Yeah, it's gonna be their flagship. I mean, they'll probably bring back Mario Paint or like remake it or bring back the old one, which obviously 100%. But I think Splatoon's gonna be your tester for like first person, third person shooters type of mentality. So we'll see.
That's a good one. I didn't think about that one. I was thinking, yes, new Mario Paint, Animal Crossing, because I know the new Animal Crossing, they're going to want terraforming. They're not gonna get rid of terraforming,
Yep.
and, a new Mario Maker, I think, is for sure going to come. I think they're gonna
Oh,
for sure not give up on that, which is cool. It's the one workshop game that Nintendo has where they actually let you design your own things and,
yep.
uh, I
Well, I
love it.
mean, they can have a maybe the next Mario Maker might be 3D. It might have 3D worlds, like an actual proper, like your galaxy type of movement. Or they can might use the whole build it type game as Zelda Dungeon Builder or another Splatoon. You never know. Like, they can potentially use any franchise in that style of Mario Maker if they wanted to.
Exactly. Yeah, I've thought about Zelda Maker before with, like, RPG Maker and things like that that are out there in the world. Okay, do you have a prediction, or do we move on to the next one?
The only prediction I obviously want to talk Nintendo, which I pretty much said my prediction of like we're gonna get a Mario, a Zelda this year, and I don't think we'll get a Splatoon. I think we'll get a Splatoon announcement. So for next year, but we'll get so pretty much it's gonna mimic the first year of the first Switch,
Mhm.
if that makes sense,
Yeah,
just without the Splatoon. But I think the Mario will be first, and the Zelda will be in the end of the year.
I think so too.
And
It
Mario Kart in the
yeah.
middle. So yeah, Mario Kart will be in the center, or that might be the launch title, and then the actual Mario game might be in the middle, and then the Zelda at the end of the year, or vice. I think it's gonna mimic. They're gonna try and capture lightning in a bottle again.
It seems like Mario Kart's the launch title, and that could be September. I don't know. Could be summer, September. And
Yep.
I think 3D Mario is holiday season, and still can't
Yep.
believe there was only one 3D Mario on the historic Switch console, which lasted for 8 years. So
Yeah.
it's just it's so, so overdue. I'm predicting it's not gonna be Odyssey 2. I think it's gonna be a whole different title altogether, but well,
Yeah. I think it will probably use the similar like engine with the movement. Obviously, it'll be updated with what we have now, but that style of movement because the Mario Odyssey's movement was amazing.
yes. Yeah.
Like obviously the Cappy was, the little thing that they used for the game, the theme,
Mm.
but the movement of him bouncing, jumping, all that type of movement felt so fluid. And I feel Nintendo are the kings of that type of movement. So I think we're going to be fine for movement. But besides that, my actual other prediction will be obviously we're expecting not Nintendo, new Xbox hardware this year, which supposedly was leaked like a year ago or something like that. But the actual hardware, I think they'll probably show a little bit of their handheld this year. So they're expecting to have a handheld not this year, maybe in a year or so. But I'm thinking they're going to show off potentially like a rough concept of it, or they'll do like um, deep dive with talking to the people who are building it about the hardware and what to expect. And I think they might get into bed with Steam. I think Steam's going to be a big component of Xbox this year with their new hardware going forward.
If they want to do hardware, they need to hurry up. They need to hurry up because SteamOS is here.
Yep.
And like I know we live in this world of Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, but that's only been 20 years. And I don't see like why not in 10 years why it wouldn't be like Nintendo, PlayStation, Steam. It just kinda depends on what direction Steam wants to go and what direction Xbox wants to go. I think Steam is interested in making their own hardware, but it's gonna be more secondary and moving their operating systems to other consoles. To me, great. I just care about accessibility.
Yep.
But I hope they make hardware because the Steam Deck is for a Gen 1 console or like a first console is incredible. Not
Yeah.
perfect.
100%.
Yeah, like not nearly perfect at all, and it will never set a dent in Nintendo, but it will certainly exist. So I really hope Xbox just shows us some focus this year because I don't kn I just don't know what is going on sometimes. Actually,
I
never.
think I think there's been a disconnect between Microsoft, like, the boss himself, and Xbox, which is a different division. They said that's why it feels like they've changed their tune over the last couple of years because they said we're going to buy Activision, all this stuff. You know,
Mhm.
everyone's saying you don't spend $70 billion for on a like, and then go third party. You know what I mean? You want to bring people into your ecosystem. And I think over the last year or so, I think the higher ups at in like Microsoft, the head of Microsoft and all that stuff, are thinking, you know what, we have all this IP, we have probably the most biggest slice of IP out of everyone else. We're gonna make more money, you know, if we put our games on Nintendo, we on PlayStation. It's gonna be some fans, diehard fans, think it's a slap in the face to them, but then other people are like, well, every game should be on every platform, and maybe eventually PlayStation might start. Well, they're already started putting their games on PC, and they've already put one game on Nintendo already. So, you know, and then I honestly think Nintendo's going to. I honestly believe Nintendo will be the last one standing. I really, out of all the console, like keeping their IP locked in one place, I think Nintendo will be the last one, 100%.
Oh, sure. Nintendo lives and dies by by their game titles, which is why when you saw the leaks of the hardware come out and there was like we pretty much knew everything before it was
Yeah,
announced. That's why I don't think Nintendo cared that much. If there's a software leak, like a title leak, that's
yeah,
huge.
then
But
yeah,
I think hardware sometimes, if I'm like conspiracy brained, I wonder if companies leak their own stuff just to stir up stuff. I'm not saying gaming companies do it, but I wonder if they do sometimes. I don't know.
yeah.
Uh,
I get what you're saying. Like they do it on purpose to even though they say in an after it comes out they speak negative about it, but it's all like a show because they're the ones that technically did it. But this is all just an act just to get attention. But if I can quickly double quickly on Steam, I think with Xbox, their handheld, I think their OS will be very similar to Steam. They're either their own OS or thing. But I think Microsoft going forward in either their computers or their their tablets or something like that, or even their laptop, whatever. I think you're gonna have an option to set up Steam OS. So if you're a gamer and just want games, you can have it. It loads into Steam OS straight away. You use your gaming unit straight into it. You have the ability to obviously load back into Windows if you want to, but I think you can customize it to just go straight into Steam OS. When Steam OS comes out, I think Microsoft is going to help them on a networking level to help them bridge all that stuff because obviously Microsoft are very technical in all that kind of stuff, and I think they're going to really. I think they're behind the scenes now, being really buddy with Steam. That will in the next few years we're going to see the fruits of all that hard work between Steam and Microsoft.
I hope so, because I'll be looking for a secondary Nintendo, like outside of the Nintendo system at some point when I move on from my Steam Deck. And there's no reason why it couldn't be like Xbox or Microsoft that's created great hardware and does now, So I'm more just look for accessibility. A Steam Deck learning Linux has been pretty cool, but for me, there's not much difference between Linux and Windows.
Yep.
Just just having the options though, having the modding options on a handheld device is also very nice too.
Yeah,
Oh,
100%. I agree with you.
all right. Let's take the last part of this podcast here and get a little bit spicy. Okay. Now, do you have a game in mind? If you could delete one game from existence for whatever reason, you can choose your own justification. Do you have a game in mind?
Now, I was thinking about this. It's hard because there's so many good games out there. It's tough to pick a game. Um, I'm gonna say this one. Even yeah, I say Roblox for some reason. I don't know. When I think of Roblox, it just annoys me that game. That said, some of the people, the adults in the game, have used their platform to actually make their own games inside of Roblox that actually are really cool. Don't be wrong. But it's just when I see my nieces and nephews who play it, and it's like an addiction to them,
Mm.
like a really bad addiction. Same with Fortnite. Fortnite is the young kids is massive addiction to them. I know it's a bit weird saying it now as an adult. Like when I was a kid playing, the Nintendo 64, whatever, right? You can say it was an addiction, but the thing is, I feel like now with the internet and things like that, and how the world is, those type of games are designed to get kids. It feels like they're brainwashing kids young, to use their parents' cards and this and buy Roblox like V-Bucks or whatever. And it's basically going to capture them for life, and then they'll move on to the next addictive thing, pretty much, So I think Roblox, just from that point of view, I mean, I'm not doubting the game itself in a sense that it's good for kids to play a game that's designed for them. And obviously, like I said before, there's been people that's used that games to design other games, which like first person shooters and stuff like that I've seen. So it's impressive. But yeah, just for that aspect, Roblox, I can get rid of it. Gone.
Yeah. I think Roblox is a perfect example of the predatory everything is monetized in that game, and everything is pointing you towards buying something. And in my experience, a lot of the games are just re-cosmetics of, like, it's the same game, and you're just, like, walking and picking up things, but the things that you're picking up are different, whether you're working in, like, a car dealership or a grocery store or whatever. Uh, it's in the category of, like, I think Roblox is I don't think the predatory part's cool, but I think for kids, it's awesome, you know,
Mm,
like, to be able to have a game where you can connect and create and do all those things. It's just not a game that I understand. It's like a
yeah,
game I've spent a lot of time on it, trying to, like, educate myself on it, and at the end, it's just like, it's fun when I get to, like, drive a car. I can do that in, like, any game, and that's pretty much it. Now, I do know a few people in my life that make money off the game. Like, they are teachers, they're developers, or, like,
yeah,
they teach classes that involve Roblox. Hey, I've taught
yep,
classes that involve Minecraft. Cool. That's why I learn about it, because, like, if any school approached me about incorporating Roblox into a class, I'd say, "Okay." Why not, Like, if you're gonna pay
yeah,
for it, then I'll learn it. But yeah, I totally agree. It it is extremely predatory. The amount of people, like, they'll have regularly have multiple games of over 1,000,000 concurrent people on there. So I can't imagine the amount of money they make off that game. Just billions and
it's
billions of off nothing. Off, like, just
yeah.
digital nothing.
You're not yeah, you pay for it, and then if the game is gone, you lost it. So all that money you spent on it, you know what I mean? It's gone if the game goes, So, um, now I don't have a specific game, but there's one thing. Now I do VR. I love VR. I play VR. I got a Quest 3. I love VR. But the thing I notice every year around Christmas is that when I play like a shooter, a sim, like a mill sim, right? With like I want to play with adults, and then you get on, and you just hear all the screaming and all that stuff of kids. You know what I mean? It's modern day gaming now is so hard to play. Like you want to have fun, you want to banter, you want to talk some BS, all that kind of stuff, which I love to do. As an Australian, I talk a lot of BS when I play. The last thing I want to do is hear a kid trying to talk that kind of the kid that haven't even hit puberty yet, trying to talk that BS back at me while still kick my ass in the game as well
Mm,
because they got faster reflexes than me. It's the same thing in VR. That's why I haven't been playing VR lately. It's just every time I want to play a game, a shooter or something like that, it's just all these kids, man.
yeah.
It's just so hard. And that's nothing wrong with that. I'm happy for kids to buy kids, technology like VR and stuff like that. It's just like I wish in the future we have systems in place better. So if you want to play with adults, and let kids play with kids. So there are a lot of games like that. I know this is about if we want to get rid of a game, yada, what the topic we're about now. But I just want to say, just on top of kids, it's just like we need a better system in place to keep the kids together, under 18, whatever, keep them all together, and then keep all the adults and that together. Like in a sense that one, there's no bullying of children. Because if you were alive during, obviously you and I are old enough, were alive during the early 2000s with Modern
Xbox Live.
Warfare,
Yeah.
Xbox Live, Modern Warfare, when you played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, and those lobbies, it separated the boys from the men. 100%. You could not. If we had those type of lobbies now we'll be losing their minds. Like they'll be those days were fun, don't be wrong. They were good. But in this day and age now with technology and how this new generation of kids are coming through and society changes and stuff like that, type of stuff, we need to just find a way just to just separate it. And that way it'll be a lot better for gaming, especially for adults as well that want to enjoy gaming multiplayer with like in public lobbies with other people.
Yeah, I don't have a good solution on how to fix online multiplayer games in general, besides just try to find some games you like and try to get on Reddit and find some communities that aren't too toxic. And um part of my gaming hot take, which was going to be the end of this, is that part of it is just like sometimes you just got to let it go.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen that a lot with players my age or mostly adults. Like they'll stick to a game because maybe it was really important to them. Maybe it's become part of their identity even at some point. And sometimes and they're just not having fun playing it anymore. And I say like, hey, if it's not fun, if it's toxic even, to just let it go. It seems like Overwatch is that game for a lot of people.
Oh,
It seems like a
they
lot of people.
take it seriously, like way too seriously.
Yeah. My thing, like, hey, if you have toxicity in your personal life, it doesn't matter who it is. I say when you get older, just let it go and just understand that sometimes those people are just gone. You're not going to fix them. Same thing with modern gaming. I think my hot take was like, there's never been so many good games. So let's just focus on those games. And we talk a lot about modern gaming and AAA gaming, and we talk about all the problems there. I think consumers of video games in general have a good way of letting the developers know what they want. Developers don't always provide what we want, but I think sometimes we get in this loop of negativity. Even right now, I'm talking about other people being negative, and that's making me negative. So
Yeah.
we're like, it's like this whole thing that we're getting into.
Yeah.
Uh, I think we need to, as a community, highlight good games more, no matter what the size of the developer is. And if there's a game you're excited about and it's crap and you're not having fun, let it go. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree. If something is something like you play a game to release like stress and you get home from work, you've had a big day, you want to jump on COD with the mates and just kick ass and stuff like. Listen, when I play Call of Duty or any of those type of games, for me, I love banter. I love sweats. I love the guys, the tryhards. I love it. Like, I like a little bit of toxicity, but from adults because that's the release. You get to relax and you say your crap or whatever you want, and you tell them they're not good. They tell you you're not good. It's all within the banter of playing. So for me, a little bit of sweatiness, a little bit of toxicity, I don't mind because I don't get offended. I'm one of those people. You can say whatever you want to me while gaming and I'm confident I'm going to offend you before you offend me. That's how I work. There's nothing wrong with that. But I agree with you in the sense that if a game becomes so stressful to play and you lost the point of playing the game, which is to have fun or have fun by yourself or fun with your friends, then you just need to, like you said, let it go. And I 100% agree with you. That's why I haven't played COD a lot because, you know, COD these days, it just doesn't feel as fun anymore as it used to be. So I don't playing isn't enough. Don't get me wrong, I'll pick it up now and again with some mates. We'll play. It'll be fun, but I don't want to get stuck in that grind and that I have to get all this done, and it's just like frustration and stress of dealing with things in the game and stuff like that. So I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff anymore. But yeah, I agree with you on that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and hey, leave it on the field, guys. That's I wanna end with. It's the banter, if it's the trash talk, leave it in those digital spaces and do not bring it out to the real world. This podcast is mostly an NBA basketball podcast, and we have literally seen people get thrown out of the league because they said something wrong while they were live streaming. And that just shows that things that you say in there, things that could be offensive or are offensive, don't always work. Don't always work when you have a job. So hey,
Yep.
so hey, thank you for keeping it clean during this episode, though. Yeah, thank you for that.
I tried my best. I worked really hard. I wanted to say a few things. As I'm no,
As an Aussie would.
there's some
As
things I wanted to say, but I kept it professional. I kept it PG as best as I could. I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But yeah, no, it was good.
Momo, thank you for joining me today. I always lie and tell people 30 minutes and then I keep them for an hour. So, do you have anything that you're doing now? Anything that you want to promote?
At the moment, I don't have anything to promote at the moment. I'm just like everyone. I'm out there in the Instagrams and stuff like that, just living life, and I'm doing a lot more health stuff. So I don't have anything to promote like work wise or like things like YouTube or anything like that. But I'm just if I had to promote something, just look after yourself. Stay healthy, exercise, which I'm trying to do. Dropped since November. I've dropped 14 kilos since November last year, thanks to
Awesome.
Europe and that. So I'm a lot slimmer. I'm a lot lighter. I'm healthier, which is really good. I'm trying to in Australia. Pickleball is taking over in Australia now as a sport, and I'm trying to get into that, which looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, that's if I had to promote something, it's just good health, exercise, eat well, and just enjoy life. Don't have to micromanage your health and stuff like that. If you want to, go for it. But you can still eat the food. If you want to have McDonald's, whatever, once a week, fair enough. But as long as you moderate your eating, sleep better, look after yourself, look after your mental health and stuff like that. And that's what I think. That's probably you'll be living longer and happy, I guess.
All right. I can't end it better. I'll be back next week. More NBA talk, maybe some more gaming talk. We'll see who's on next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.